Imagine watching a World Cup match, completely relaxed, when your phone lights up with an alarm, earthquake warning. 10 seconds later, your whole world shakes up and crumbles into dust. This is what happened in Venezuela on the evening of the 24th, when two earthquakes, 30 seconds apart from each other, made the center of the country fall into its own foundations. Today, you will learn what's happening in Venezuela. The country was hit by a very rare and dangerous phenomenon, a double earthquake. This happens when two very strong tremors occur practically in the same place, one right after the other. First came a magnitude 7.2 tremor. Just 39 seconds later, a second earthquake, even stronger at magnitude 7.5, struck the country. Since the first tremor had already left houses and buildings shaking and cracked, the second one came to bring everything down. It destroyed roads, burst pipes, and generated dense dust clouds that hindered rescue efforts. Scientists explain that northern Venezuela sits exactly on the boundary where two major tectonic plates meet, the Caribbean plate and the South American plate. They move slowly, a few millimeters per year, but they accumulate a monstrous amount of energy over centuries. This was the most violent earthquake in Venezuela since the year 1900. The impact was so brutal that it was felt in Colombia, the Caribbean, and even northern Brazil. The numbers from this tragedy are staggering, and they are still rising. As of June 29th, at least 1,450 people have been confirmed dead. At least 3,150 others are injured. Over 68,900 people remain unaccounted for. In La Guaira, the coastal state just north of Caracas, entire neighborhoods were pulverized. Buildings described by witnesses as standing just hours earlier became piles of concrete, exposed pipes, and scattered personal belongings. La Guaira was declared a disaster zone immediately. In the capital itself, rescue workers and civilian volunteers began digging through debris with bare hands because, as we'll see, Venezuela had almost no heavy machinery available. Overcrowded hospitals operated through power outages and water shortages. As of Sunday, 774 buildings had been damaged or destroyed, including hospitals, and 12,721 people had been displaced from their homes, with 3,142 families losing everything. The final death toll could exceed 10,000. The ground, meanwhile, is still shaking. Dozens of aftershocks above magnitude 4.0 have followed, with the USGS warning that significant events above 5.0 remain likely in the coming days. If you find this story important, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with as many people as you can. And you want to help in Venezuela, the safest and best way to do it is by donating. For a secure and effective donation, go to dona.yummyrides.com and donate what you can. That is dona.yummyrides.com. Within hours of the disaster, Acting President Delcy Rodriguez declared a national state of emergency. The Simón Bolívar International Airport was closed. Its runway and buildings had sustained serious structural damage. The government announced it was establishing a $200 million reconstruction fund for hospitals and housing. Rodriguez tried visiting the places most affected but was booed away from the place. 30,000 personnel, military, police, doctors, paramedics, and psychologists were mobilized for rescue efforts. But another government action sparked fierce controversy. The telecommunications regulator, Conatel, had already blocked over 200 independent news websites, social media platforms, and VPN tools. In the midst of a disaster where people were desperately trying to locate missing relatives, access to information was severed. The United Nations Independent Fact-Finding Mission on Venezuela issued an urgent statement saying it was vital that Conatel fully unblock access to social media and all media outlets. Their words were stark. In the coming hours and days, access to information will be a matter of life and death. The government partially restored access to the X network hours later, only to be blocked again recently. The government encouraged Venezuelans to use VNAP, an official state app, to share information about missing relatives. But VNAP has a troubled history. It was originally built as a tool to report on dissident activity after Venezuela's disputed 2024 election. Using a surveillance instrument as a lifeline in a crisis tells you something about the nature of this government. Given the catastrophic scale of the disaster and Venezuela's near-total collapse of emergency infrastructure, the government was forced to accept international aid almost immediately. The response from the international community was swift and substantial. By June 27th, 44 urban search and rescue teams, known as USAR, had deployed 2,245 specialists and 140 search dogs from 27 countries, all coordinated by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. The United States committed $150 million. 2 search and rescue teams were deployed from Fairfax County, Virginia. The U.S. also deployed a disaster assistance response team under Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and the Pentagon was tasked with logistics support, including reopening one of the airport's runways to unblock the aid bottleneck. The U.S. also moved to deliver Starlink terminals to a country where communication blackouts were adding anguish to the disaster. Starlink has already announced free internet access for customers in La Guaira state. From Europe, 8 EU member states deployed over 520 rescue responders through the EU Civil Protection Mechanism, with Luxembourg also providing telecommunications and energy equipment. India sent 2 Air Force aircraft carrying 41 medical personnel, a field hospital, and 36 tons of supplies and medicine. Turkey deployed 67 specialists. Switzerland sent 80 personnel and 18 tons of equipment with sniffer dogs. Pope Leo XIV sent emergency aid of 100,000 euros. FIFA observed a moment of silence during all World Cup matches on June 26th and 27th. But here's the question that every Venezuelan is asking, and that the rest of the world should be asking too. Why did so many buildings fall? Why did the country have almost no operational rescue equipment? Why did a government instinctively block the internet before it organized the rescue? The answer is not just geology. Northern Venezuela has always sat on a dangerous fault system. Earthquakes are not a surprise. They are, as geologists say, a predictable feature of the planet's evolution. What makes the difference is how prepared a society is when they arrive. And Venezuela was not prepared. According to the USGS, the predominant building types in the affected region are unreinforced brick masonry and adobe block construction, among the most vulnerable to seismic shaking. Many structures in La Guaira and Caracas were built on sedimentary basins, which amplify earthquake waves. Reports from NGOs and Venezuelan journalists show that for years, fire stations across the country have operated with a fraction of their required vehicles, in some cases, just 2 working trucks where dozens should exist, without adequate water, without cranes, without modern extraction tools. The Chavez and Maduro governments rushed to build public housing for political capital, bypassing municipal building codes and using substandard construction methods. Some of those structures fell within seconds on June 24th. The country's qualified professionals, firefighters, engineers, doctors, fled Venezuela during years of economic collapse. Today, Venezuela carries an estimated $240 billion in debt. According to the UN, the direct physical damage from this earthquake amounts to between $4.7 and $8.7 billion, roughly 4 to 8% of the entire national GDP, and those figures do not account for infrastructure losses or long-term economic disruption. This is what happens when decades of misrule hollow out a country's resilience, so that when nature delivers its bill, there is almost nothing left to pay it with. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez now faces her first, and perhaps most consequential, leadership test. She was Maduro's vice president. She is unpopular beyond the ruling party, and she is inheriting a literal rubble. Whether this disaster becomes a turning point or another chapter in Venezuela's long collapse depends on decisions made in the coming weeks. If you want to help in Venezuela, the safest and best way to do it is by donating. For a secure and effective donation, go to dona.yummyrides.com and donate what you can. That is dona.yummyrides.com. Countries undergo unexpected disasters and test the resilience of their people, who usually transform their pain into tales of strength. We are a project intended to tell these tales that build people and rescue good values and sentiments in the hearts of people. We are Big Picture Originals, a brand powered by Brazil Paralelo, driven by a small team that seeks to bring to you high-quality productions that connect audiences with the culture, history, and values that give purpose to life. To achieve our goal, every kind of support means the world. So, if you feel related and you enjoyed this video, drop a hard like, let us know your opinion, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with anybody that you feel might appreciate it. See you in our next brief.